Okay, so here's everything that's included in a electric power steering kit for a RZR 200. I'm going to show you how to go through the process of installing this kit right here onto this vehicle right here. The lift, you can use a jack and jack stands, or you don't technically have to use anything. Just makes it a little bit easier to work on when it's up in the air like this. And we're going to start removing all these clips along the top half of the dash, this portion, this cover, and both sides. So the ones here and the ones here. So let's begin. Okay, first step, we use a set of these. They're really nice, they work really good. We need to remove the clips. To do that, you're going to grab the clip, pop it up a little bit, grab it. Boom, just like that. On all of the ones that you see that have the exact same type of look to them. Okay, now we have successfully removed all the little clips all around the car, off the front. As you can see here, well, except for this guy. Okay, easy enough. Alright. We put them all in a little thing so they don't get lost, because there's a lot of them. Next up, we're gonna open the door and we're gonna get these little guys right here, and then these two, and then these two with a T40 torx. I happen to have it on a ratchet, makes it a little bit easier. That's so that later we can take this panel off, and we're going to be able to run the wiring back to the battery to plug into that section. Okay, now we got all those bolts taken off. The ones right there, right there, right there, right there. You can basically pop this panel off. Comes off real easy, pretty much like that. We're going to set it to the side, and then we're going to grab the hood. Another real easy one. Take it off, set it to the side, and then we've loosened the dash, but it won't come right off. There's a couple more things you gotta undo. Under the dash, there's gonna be this wiring. Sorry for the lack of light. And you'll have a plug right here, unclip. There's another plug right here, this gray one, unclip. And then you got one more. Unclip. Then you should be able to pop the dash completely off. Okay, now we have the top section of the dash taken off. Now we're going to come over here to the steering. We're going to take off these 10 bolts, but these 4 10mm bolts. You just need a 10mm socket. There's one there, and then same with on the other side. And then the one that you got to get first, let me see if I can get in there, is the one that is on the steering shaft right there. It too is also a 10mm to remove that guy, and then we should be able to take off this whole piece right here as a whole. Okay, now we got our top section off completely. Next part to remove is going to be the steering, from the steering wheel down to the next connector, which is going to be the connector right here. As you can see, it has a 10 millimeter on the one side and it's a 13 millimeter on the other side. You need to remove that, take that bolt out, and then now the steering shaft will be able to become free once you remove the 4 bolts right here, which are also 10 millimeters. That one, that one, that one, and the one on that side. Okay, next up, we're gonna remove the lower half. There's a bunch of clips here, 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 on both sides. There's a couple right there. And then you should be able to take off that lower section, which will then get us good access for the steering column. Okay, now once you've gotten all those clips off, there's 2 little guys hiding right, I don't know if you can see them, right there. One on each, one right there, and one right there on both sides. Those are going to be a Torx, a T25. Okay, now that you got the lower part off, we can get in here and see the steering shaft has a 13 millimeter nut and a 10 millimeter socket head on the other side. You need to remove those to be able to remove the steering shaft, along with the bolts on the top and the sides right here. Okay, now you should have the steering column out. We need to take this guy right here off this U-joint because we will not be using it anymore. It's also a 13 on the one side and a 10 on the other. Ratcheting wrenches seem to work the best, but you know, you do you. Okay, next we're going to be removing this piece right here, which is like a little cover that kind of attaches to the thing, but all the hardware for it mostly is inside. It has these Torx T40s right here and a couple of clips on each side that I have already popped loose to highlight them, as well as a few along right here. You guys can see those very good. 1, 2, 3. And I don't believe there is none on that side. Okay, our next move is on the brake lever. There's a 13 millimeter side right there and a 18 millimeter right there, and we're going to basically loosen this guy so that we can slide that the shaft that runs through there back enough to give us some wiggle room with the pedal to be able to get this guy. Okay, next up we're going to be messing with the spring, and now that we have the nut off of this guy right here, once we remove the spring, it'll give us enough movement to be able to get it to go back. We use a pair of vice grips, real easy, just click right out, done. Now you pivot that out, which you can see now gives us this room that we need. We need that because we're going to remove the bolts right here to remove this little cradle. It's a 8 millimeter on the one side and then a 10 millimeter nut on top. We need to remove those next. Okay, now we were able to get that guy out of there. The U-joint little holder bushing piece. We're going to move on to the steering shaft inside. As you can see right there, there's a 10 millimeter one side and a 13 millimeter nut on the other side. You need to remove those and then you should be able to just pull the steering shaft up and then remove it from the car. Now everything has been removed. Now it's time to start doing the modifications that are necessary for the electric motor to sit in here. It is only 2 simple cuts. This one that we have supplied for the template, we use blue tape to be able to outline it and be able to see it, which will be the bottom piece, which is like this, which goes into the corner right there, and it'll be pretty much in the outer corner of this side. And then this top piece will have indentions in there, if you can see them, that line up with the bolt holes, and will also line up over in this corner for the marks that you will need to make. Let's remove those so you can see. Okay, you're going to need to cut those lines, as well as this, which is a 4-inch hole saw. Once you've removed that area with either a jigsaw, hole saw, cutoff wheel, Dremel, hacksaw blade, you pick your poison. Okay, so I'm going to show kind of how I went about going and doing this. Is I put that little dot, which is technically what this is. Once it lines up with your line, I put that hole in there, so now I know where to start the pilot to start doing the hole saw cut. Okay, after cutting your hole that you marked out, you should have something similar to this. And that's for the steering motor to pop through. You'll see here shortly. Once you have your spot all cleaned up and ready to go and move on to the next step, you will then need your modified stock-ish steering shaft, and the part that's stock will go back on to the steering rack. Sorry about the darkness. For this, I tend to put it through this direction, just like it was originally. And then you're going to want to leave it there till you start putting it back, till you put the electronic motor in, and you'll see why once you do it. You'll want to install the electric motor to here and then put it up into place. Okay, now we have put the electric steering piece onto the U-joint right there. See how that's sitting in there? We're not going to tighten anything yet. And then the steering rack is plugged in right there. Next, we're going to install this bracket. We're going to remove these 2 bolts that I have already loosened to then be able to put the bracket on and put it into place. Okay, next step, we're going to take the steering column and we're going to flip it up like it is right here, you see in the picture. And then we're going to take the U-joint that we supplied. You're going to take out the Allen, which is a 5/32 Allen, and this nut is takes a 1/2-inch wrench. Take that guy out for right now, and then we're going to slide it onto here. Might be a little sticky. You might need to take a rubber mallet and just tap it down. Get it ready to go get installed in the car. Okay, next we're going to put the steering column with the new U-joint onto the shaft and slip it underneath this part right here. It's best to leave all the stuff loose, like I have said in the previous parts, until we're all done and got everything situated. Might take a little wiggling to get the U-joint onto the splined shaft right there, but it will go. Okay, we got the Steering all situated in there, no bolts in it still. We got the U-joint hooked up to the electric power steering unit. And now we're gonna go and start putting the bolts back in here to help line everything back up. Okay, now you've gotten all 4 of your bolts in. Go ahead and tighten those up, with also tightening up the ones on the bracket. That one and that one. And then now you can start putting in the little Allens into the U-joints to lock them into place. They will be a groove on this one that will find the center of that Allen that you want to tighten up to, and then use the nut provided to lock it down. After that, you're going to go and put the brake pedal back in and put the spring back on, and then work your way up. Okay, there's 2 different size Allens. One of them is going to be a slightly shorter one. That one is going to go into the U-joint closest to the electrical unit. So the one that's right there. The one down here can take a long one, and the one up here can also take a long one. Okay, now we have all of the U-joints have all been locked down with the Allens and the nuts all the way through the system. The pedal is back on. Sorry about the lighting, guys. The U-joint has been tightened and back. And now we're starting to put the plastics back on. Okay, that's what the Okay, now we're going to grab this piece back, which is the piece that goes right back here in the vehicle. But as you can see now, because of the steering unit right there, we need to cut some. So here's how I go about that. It's basically just draw a line from A to B, which is highlighted by the blue tape. The part that's right along that bottom side, we need to eliminate this whole piece. So follow this line. Now that we have successfully cut this piece, as you can see, basically we're just going to go and put this back on. Here we go. We can put the Torx bolts back in the bottom to support it until we put the rest of the plastic fasteners back on. Okay, now after you've cut your side out, your next step is to take the supplied bracket that holds the ESC down, and you're going to put it in this orientation in the part and make a mark there and there, putting both of these in the most corner locations that is possible, and then drilling a 1/4 inch hole after you've made your marks. Okay, as you can see, we got our cut here. We got our modification to bolt in the speed control for the electric power steering kit with the supplied bolts in the back. And now we're ready to put this piece back on. Simply just put it right back in like it was before. After you get it placed, you're going to want to put in the okay, next you're going to put the plugs and pins back in.